This is Katrin with Disability Rights New York. Welcome to our podcast, Empire State of Rights Closed Captioned. We are here to bring you information on the most relevant topics regarding disability rights and advocacy. Today, we welcome DRNY's PAD Program Director, Julie Michaels Keegan. She's joined by DRNY Staff Attorney Laura O'Brien and New York State Attorney Emeritus Program Volunteer Louis Steele. We're going to discuss a new resource publication called Special Education Case Law Digest. This is for parents, families, advocates, and other special education stakeholders. Julie, Laura, and Louis, thank you all for joining us today.
Happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thanks. Julie, let's start with you. Talk to us about this resource. Why was it created, and how did this project start?
Thanks, Katrin. I'm very excited to talk about this project. It's been a long time coming, and it's a much needed resource. So basically, the digest is going to include a variety of summaries of case law, both at the administrative level and in front of courts. And the purpose of it is to sort of level the playing field for all stakeholders involved in the special education world. So what we tried to do here is make available information that's relevant to the rights of students with disabilities, so that when we are at CSE meetings, that's Committee on Special Education meetings, or when we're trying to understand our rights as children with disabilities or as family members of children with disabilities, we can come to the table with knowledge of what is important, what would the courts consider, what are the important arguments to focus on, what are the facts that might advance a case and ensure that a child gets the services that they need. What we have found is that there are resources available to a lot of school programs. They just have the money to be able to afford those kinds of resources, often online resources. However, for parents or students or advocates or even attorneys who aren't able to afford those kinds of resources, having something that's free, accurate, neutral, and available is something that's really important. And to my knowledge, there really isn't anything like it out there in New York State.
I was just going to say that this is the first of its kind that we know of in New York State, and this has taken a long time to really think about and be very intentional about what is going to be included in this digest. So it's a resource that certainly is going to reach a broad audience. As you said, it's not only for students and families, but also for advocates and educators. And this is going to be a publication of the New York State Special Education Task Force. Why is it that the task force wanted to make this digest available? What was its thought process in thinking about this long term?
Thanks, Katrin. The New York State Special Education Task Force, just for those who aren't familiar with it, is a grassroots organization that started in the Capital Region and then spread to 8 upstate regions throughout New York State. So task forces are committed to bringing all special education stakeholders together. That means parents, students, advocates, and school professionals. The task force is always looking for ways to better inform its participants about issues impacting students with disabilities. And certainly our administrative hearing officers and courts are hearing about special ed issues all the time. So we feel this is really important to put out there to all of our stakeholders so that they can work together. This task force also produces other publications that have been very helpful to all stakeholders. Special Education in Plain Language is one of them. We have a bullying guide that talks about laws impacting and strategies too to address bullying in schools specific to students with disabilities. So our hope is that through the use of this publication, parents, families, and school districts will collaborate together in order to help students reach their full potential.
And so, Julie, talk to us about the connection between Disability Rights New York and the Special Education Task Force.
Sure. It's a very mutually beneficial relationship. So before Disability Rights New York came into being, the task force sort of functioned on its own. just as sort of an ad hoc grassroots group. But when Disability Rights was formed as the protection and advocacy system for New York State, we decided that we wanted to expand the program, and DRNY had the resources to be able to expand the task force throughout the state. And so while the Special Education Task Force is an independent body, it is housed within Disability Rights New York, and Disability Rights New York provides a lot of the sort of administrative operations for the task force, as well as publications like the digest. So it's kind of a nice complementary relationship and one that we both benefit from.
Thank you so much for that, Julie. And Laura, as you're putting this digest together, let's talk about what cases you thought would be important for the audience that this is directed towards. What should we be expecting to see in this digest?
I think in this one, some of the most, I'd say, sought after cases are going to be the ones related to COVID-19. It's a novel topic, to say the least, and it's just uncharted territory. And so I think those are probably the ones that are going to draw the most for parents and be the most informative for something that parents have never experienced. Parents, teachers, students have never experienced before, and kind of guide them through this new territory.
And so, Laura, talking about information that would be related to special education and COVID means that this digest is up to date. We're talking about real time as far as what cases are going to be presented in it. Does the history within the digest reach further back? Should our audience members anticipate seeing cases from years past?
Yes, and Lewis can also speak more to that. I believe the cases go back some as far as, I think, 2002, if they are relevant to the newer cases as well. There are some that are cited in the digest that maybe aren't brand new, but are related to some of the issues that came up recently.
So then, Lewis, we will have you speak to that as well. You are the primary author of this digest. As we talk about the cases and what's involved, what you were looking at, talk to us about the scope of the digest and what our audience should be looking for when they're able to read it.
Well, we look for relevant cases, including those, as Laura said, dealing with COVID, compensatory education, and child find, and other cases. The cases come from Westlaw and Special Ed Connection, also from the Office of State Review website. Westlaw and Special Education are internet-based pay-for subscription services. The Office of State Review is the office in the New York State Department of Education that reviews appeals from impartial hearing officer decisions in special education cases. That office has a website where state review officers' decisions are published. To date, the majority of selected cases are those that would directly apply to students in New York State. However, the digest does not exclude important cases from outside New York State, which may be useful in students in New York State. Some issue areas, well, what is an issue area? An issue area is a discrete issue of law. For example, it includes such things as ABA, parent participation during the CSE process, IEP goals and objectives. We identify in the digest a host of issue areas which all together constitute our digest. In relevant part, the digest sets forth what a particular case or matter says with respect to a particular issue area. So in any event, some issue areas will include both current cases and also older cases of significant importance, as Laura said. You can call this later set of questions oldies but goodies. Finally, and ideally, we would like to have at least one useful case or decision in each of the many issue areas in the digest.
I can't wait to read the oldies but goodies, that's for sure. And so, Lewis, talk to us about the New York State Attorney Emeritus Program volunteer. Why were you drawn to this opportunity? And talk to us a little bit about this program itself.
Well, for more than 10 years, I worked as an attorney for the New York State Department of Education's Office of State Review. At the present time, I'm retired. I wanted to use my legal experience to assist students with disabilities and their parents who cannot afford an attorney. As far as the Attorney Emeritus program, the purpose of that program is to encourage experienced attorneys to volunteer their legal skills and experience to help the growing number of New Yorkers who can't afford an attorney. The attorney can be retired or actively practicing law in New York State. The attorney needs to be at least 55 years old, in good standing, and have practiced law for at least 10 years. And here's the guts of it. During the attorney's 2-year registration period, the attorney agrees to provide at least 60 hours of pro bono civil legal assistance under the direction of the qualified legal service provider, bar association, or court-sponsored volunteer lawyer program. Attorneys who do this will obtain 15 continuing legal education credits as part of their 2-year continuing legal education obligation. Also, host organizations must provide malpractice insurance to attorneys who participate in the Attorney Emeritus program. Additional information about the Attorney Emeritus program can be found at its website. To find the website, simply Google New York and Attorney Emeritus program. On the website, you will see that attorneys can submit their applications online. The website also includes a phone number and an email address that can be used to obtain additional information about the Attorney Emeritus program.
Thank you so much for all of that information. We'll be sure to drop that in the description of the podcast. And we have been so lucky to have you volunteering here with us at DRNY, putting this digest together. So thank you for all of that, Louis. And Laura, let's talk again about the digest and how we're going to really interact with the community on this. We're suggesting that you get feedback from the community. If a viewer has a suggestion or feedback, who should they contact? And is this process something that will be ongoing?
This will absolutely be ongoing. There will be new cases coming out all the time. And so we will continue to put together the cases in a readable format. If there are questions, concerns, legal issues that come up, anyone can contact our intake department. You can find the information for intake at our website, drny.org.
And so, Julie, as we're going to be able to get feedback from the community, and there will be undoubtedly more cases coming, is this digest going to be a one-time publication? What are we expecting as far as the next edition to be released?
So right now, through Louis's substantial volunteer efforts, and I do want to stress that Louis brings a level of expertise and analysis here that is really unparalleled. We're so excited and fortunate to have him as the author of this publication. He's literally put hundreds of hours into putting the first issue together. And our plan is, as long as Louis is available, to publish a quarterly update. So it'll include the previous cases that were in there and new cases that have come along. I do want to clarify that we select cases based on relevance and commonality of issues. So not every case that comes out is going to be in this digest. And I just want everyone to be clear on that. But as Louis said, we're trying to choose the ones that are sort of important, are more important on specific issues so that people have at least something to work from moving forward. So we're really excited to make this an ongoing resource. And it's very important that it is an ongoing resource because, as I said, sort of an uneven playing field out there. And I think this is a way of making sure that everybody, including school folks, as well as parents and students, have access to the information they need to improve outcomes for kids.
Well, thank you for your kind words, Julie. As you know, the digest is a joint effort of yourself, Laura, and myself, and we're all working together to make it as good as possible.
We can't wait to read it, and it will certainly be available on our DRNY website, and we will drop the link in the description as well, and we will push it out on our social media so that more people can have access to it. Before we sign off today, is there anything else that anyone would like to add before we say goodbye?
I just wanted to be clear that the digest will be published on the New York State Special Education Task Force website, and I'm sure we will provide that information to folks. At this point, it's only available online, but it could be printed if it needed to be. So that's available to folks too. But the document itself online is very handy. There's links to all the cases that we've cited, or at least most of them that we could find a free resource for. So it's not only a good description, but it takes you to other things that might be relevant if you have a particular issue that you want to research further.
Thank you so much for all that information, Julie. And thank you for your time, Louis and Laura. I look forward to seeing the digest and to speaking with you all again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Empire State of Rights Closed Captioned has been brought to you by Disability Rights New York, your source for disability rights and advocacy. If you enjoyed our program, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this post. If there is a subject you would like us to discuss, please email podcast@drny.org or comment below. Tune in next Wednesday, where we'll bring you more information on disability rights in the state of New York. The closed captioned and ASL version of this podcast is available on our YouTube channel. To listen to more Empire State of Rights closed captioned, follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.